On this episode, we'll be covering terrible dates, Sabrina Carpenter at Coachella, and global homogenization. Hello?
Hello?
Oh my god, where have you been? I have to tell you something.
Girl, bring it. I'm ready.
Welcome to the Call Me Later podcast, where we will cover the personal, the popular, and the peculiar. I'm Loretta Rolonge.
And I'm Annie Steinberg. And you've now been dialed into our weekly call about relationships and dating,
pop culture and lifestyle,
and friendship and community in the city of Medellin.
No, you need to call me later. Hello? No, pero llámame ya. Hey, call me later.
So I'm going to set the scene about this date. His name is Joshua Joseph. I'm giving you first and last name.
Loretta.
And then...
We're going to get so sued one day. But I love it. Keep going.
And this is how we had met. He went to my university and we were at the club together. I technically had a boyfriend at the time and he asked me for my number. He literally stopped me. He just went, hey, I want your phone number. And I gave it to him.
So far, so good.
I broke up with my boyfriend at the time very quickly afterwards. And because that relationship was a bomb on fire.
Okay.
Burning the sky. And then I went on the date with this guy and we went back to my apartment. So I think we went out for dinner. He had brought his best friend with him because I don't know if you've gone through this, Annie.
Wait,
maybe when you were a little bit younger.
Brought his best friend where? To the date?
To the date. And I don't know if you've dealt with this, but there was a phase in my life, and maybe it was the men I was attracting, who they always brought their friends and they were like, can you bring a girl from my friend?
Oh, yeah.
Or
yeah, that was the thing.
So he brought his best friend over to the date. And then afterwards, he went back to my apartment and we just hung out in the living room. And then he pulled out his laptop that he had in his backpack.
Okay.
And then he pulled out a questionnaire. And the questionnaire was essentially, I had to answer these sets of questions, which ranged from, okay, what's your name? What's your age? Then it was, how much money do you make? And he put that in. And then it was, how many people have you had sex with? And all of these questions, other than your name, assigned you points on his system. And so if you have had sex with 10 people, that's minus 10 points. If you're a virgin, that's plus 50 points. You have a million questions. I know. Girl, tell me.
All right, so is the level of efficacy of this form that as he's putting in the information, it's giving you a score, or is he also manually docking points?
No, I think it's giving you a score. I think it was a very sophisticated form.
Oh my God.
And it was all sorts of questions like that. It was like, how clean are you? Like, how often do you exercise? It was all of these different things. And he did it as well in front of all of my roommates. So best friend was there, and then where we were in the living room, my roommates were like just locked into this conversation. And I
would have never left also. I would have been like, yeah, I want to know.
And so I'm answering all of these questions. And then in the end, Annie, you get plotted on a graph up against other women that he has also asked this questionnaire to. Girl, I didn't score that well.
Oh my, Loretta, who would?
Because he was like, yeah, so I don't know, Gwen was probably higher than you, but you were probably a little bit better than Sophie. And I was like, what? And to this day, it's a question about self-worth. Because why would I answer these questions?
No, but
why would I sit here and do this?
For the story. I have to say,
the plot.
Loretta, for the plot. There's so many times, and that's one of my favorite things about bad dates. When I can already tell it's a bad date, I'm like, show me everything you got. Because I'm just like, this is going to be a great anecdote one day. So I honestly, I would have done it. But my question is,
tell me.
Out of all of these women that he has slotted onto this graph, is he getting any second dates?
I think he somehow is. And that's what's troubling, was that he wasn't so much of a catch himself. He was someone who needed to bring his friend on a date with him for moral support because he was so shy.
And to at least be a little interesting.
And he wasn't doing very well in his career. And he was one of those people who were trying to make it as a rapper. Listen, escúchame. You can make it as a rapper. I'm not one of those people. But he was never making it as a rapper,
it's
ever.
The graph boy rapper. Plotted by girls.
He's like, yeah, I'm making music. You know, you get those people who are like, yeah, I'm making music. I'm in the studio, and he's in his bedroom with his equipment from Amazon.
No.
You know, rapping his terrible raps, thinking that he's gonna be the next, I don't know.
He can't even say he's
Jay-Z.
fucking bitches, but he's interviewing them.
No.
Buddy.
And it was crazy. And do you know what's even worse?
Could
I think him and I can. No, it was. We then continued to talk for a few more weeks. And then one day he called me and he was like, yes, I feel like I want to end things with you because I've just realized that you're not Pakistani. And then I was like, I said, God, this cannot be real. This cannot be my life. Because he was Pakistani, but he used to lie to people and say he was half Pakistani, half Moroccan, so he would seem more exciting, but he was Pakistani.
Oh my God. My God.
If you look at me, I'm black through and through. I am black through, like, you couldn't you know how some people you could mistake them for another race?
I wouldn't say
Not
that you were
me.
tricking him.
No. He's like, yeah, I've just realized you, Loretta Alonge, are not Pakistani. And then he broke up with me. Well, we weren't like, he wasn't my boyfriend.
Yeah, like he ended things.
We broke up, yeah. And then, but the wicked thing is that a few years later, I then dated the best friend.
No, the one that came. No.
Yeah. No, I used to be so messy. I used to be so messy. Like when I was young, I was bad. Yeah.
Wait.
When I dated
follow-up
the best friend.
question. Did you discuss the questionnaire with the friend? With like the second guy?
No, we didn't. We actually kind of did like church and state. And the best friend, so Joshua used to like pick up Reeve and I. Reeve is the best friend. He used to pick us up. He used to drive us to our dates because Reeve didn't have a car. So like he would pick us up, drive us to our date, and then drop us back at my apartment, and then he would just like hang around or like hang in his car.
Right.
And so like he was a good friend to Reeve.
Right.
He was just a horrible boyfriend. Well, he wasn't my boyfriend, but he was a horrible guy to have been dating. And Reeve was maybe like 2% better.
Yeah.
I guess. Well, you know.
Well, I mean, you met him. That's very interesting.
Oh my God.
I'm
but
shocked.
You must have some terrible dating stories.
Listen, yes. And as I was saying, I love when a date starts going. Obviously, let me add a little caveat. I'm not talking about assault. I'm not talking about anything that's particularly serious. But when a date is just like cringy and bad, I'm just like, amazing.
You love it.
This will be a great story. Like, yes, obviously I'm out there looking for love, but also if I can get a good story, it's just as good. Like that will last me for years as well. On kind of like that same line, this is just like a brief side note. It wasn't that terrible of a date, but I did go out with a guy, first of all, that kept talking about how it's so hard being so intelligent. And I was like, I don't think you're that smart. No. I was like, I don't think that. I mean, I don't know if like
it's gross.
It's really in there deep. And he was just like, yeah, because like when you get to like my level of intelligence, this and that. And I was like, oh, buddy. And so that was very interesting. And then he told me that he was really into Enneagrams, or like the Enneagram, I guess. And he asked me if I knew. It's kind of like one of those personality tests. I'm really like downplaying it probably, but like you go through like a questionnaire and there's I think 9 types, and you can be out and 1, 2, 3, whatever, right? I've heard about it, and some people are like very like, oh, I'm such a type 6, you know. I think it's more psychology, but it feels a little similar to astrology, where people are like, oh, such a Pisces thing to say, you know, like that sort of thing.
Okay, yeah.
There's like very like defined personality traits that are like associated with it. But it is like I think that you do have a questionnaire to like assess what you are. And so he starts asking me what my type is. And I was like, oh, I don't know. I've never done it. And so he starts kind of like, okay, well, can I quiz you? And I was like, bring it. Because like, I was also like, okay, well, this date is, I'm so bored. And he decides, it's just like, doomed. Oh, like, you're such a conformist. Like, and like, he started like saying like all sorts of like horrible things about me at the date that he was like trying to like actively pursue me. And I was like, yeah, interesting. But I was also giving him like bullshit answers because like I didn't care at all about like this situation. He did tell me that I was like clearly very like deeply religious, and I was like, ooh, you don't know me at all, you know, like just like things that like were very, very weird that he assessed. But I was like honestly just giving him more and more rope because I wanted to see what other stupid shit he could say. That was one
Yeah.
thing. But my worst, Loretta, my worst date that I've ever had was with this man. I was on Bumble. I was talking to him. He asked me out on a date. He seemed like fun and fine enough to like go out with, but I got really, really sick. I had gastro, essentially, which is like a nasty, nasty virus to catch. So obviously I had to cancel on him. And then we rescheduled for a second time. I was still sick. Like this lasted for like a whole week. I thought it was food poisoning at first, but then it wasn't. I thought it was a hangover actually at first, and then it wasn't. And then it wasn't food poisoning either. And then it was like full on gastro. Like I had to go to a hospital and get like IVs and whatever. Yeah. And so I canceled on him a second time. Then the third time, I'm not like feeling 100%, but I'm like embarrassed to cancel on him. So I go out on this date. I get to the bar. This guy's Brazilian. We'd only been texting, so I'd only like read his Spanish, but I hadn't heard him speak yet. And his Spanish is really good, but like really not good Spanish. Paisa Spanish. Like he has a full-on accent from Medellin.
Oh, okay.
Very sometimes there's like little giveaways, but there were none. And I was like, oh my god, your Spanish is surprisingly good, and it's very local. Like did you speak Spanish before? Did you learn all your Spanish here in Medellin? Like we're talking about all of these things. And he's like, no, I actually learned Spanish in prison. And so I'm sitting there trying to be like open-minded. Like your mind flashes for like 2 seconds, and I was like, okay. And I was like, yeah, I mean, sure, we've all been to prison. Like I don't know what to say.
Who's been to prison?
But I was just like trying to be like, oh sure, and like what happened? I was hoping that it was like a little like white collary and not murdery. And so he goes like, oh, I went to prison because it's illegal to be this attractive.
No, get out. What the hell? No, fuck off.
Loretta, he said that and I was like, oh, it's on. It's on. You're a fucking idiot. I'm so excited. This is going to be awful. Like, I'm so excited. So that was the first thing he said. And so I was like, oh, haha, yeah, you're so attractive. And so I said like, oh, and you said you were a developer, right? Like, is that what you're doing still? And he's like, no, I'm actually an entrepreneur. And I was like, oh, what do you do? He's like, I sell pictures of my feet on OnlyFans. And I was like, oh, you are so crazy, boy. Like everything he was saying, I was just like, oh, you think you're being like so hilarious, but like you're such a dumbass. And I was like, oh, really? And he's like, yeah, I make good bucks. And I was like, yeah, I'm sure you do. But I was like, what an idiot. Then he proceeds to ask me like a few questions about myself and shit on me for all of them. So first he says that, oh, so like I see you're Canadian as well. And I was like, yeah, I'm Canadian. I lived there for 13 years. And he's like, don't you think that's such a dumb country? And I was like,
what?
No. Yeah. He's like, I can't believe they still like respect the monarchy. Because like, you know, like Canada is obviously an independent country, but like we're part of the Commonwealth. The Queen still has, or not the Queen, RIP. The King still has a role in our country, you know? But
Miss
he's
you,
like,
babe.
yeah, seriously. But he was just like, no, it's like the dumbest shit ever. Like, I can't believe that country still. And I was just like, okay. I literally like I had no argument. I was just like, it was weird. He just wanted to shit on Canada like aggressively. Yeah. And I was just like, okay. Then he says that he saw on my photos that I had on my profile my World Cup photo, and you know, we were celebrating the World Cup and the fact that Argentina won. And he's like, I think it's such a stupid sport. And I was like, great. You know, so like my country's stupid, my sport that I like is stupid. And he says that it's dumb because just 11 men chasing a ball or something. And I was just like, oh my God, you know. So I was like, oh, well, like, do you like any sports?
He's exhausting.
Like, he's exhausting, literally.
He's exhausting.
And we were also like in a very small bar that had like almost like a fake second floor, like something that they had built themselves. The heat was rising. So I was already like having like heat exhaustion up there and just dealing with him speaking. I was like, this is insane. And so we started talking about sports. And he tells me that he's really into jiu-jitsu. Not Brazilian jiu-jitsu, which is ironic because he's Brazilian, but he's like original jiu-jitsu, like the real Japanese jiu-jitsu. And I was like, great.
Oh.
Yeah. And so he starts telling me that that's like the only sport that has like real valor in it, and like all these things. And I was just like, sure. And then he tells me that the person that trained him was trained by a person that was trained by a person, essentially, that during World War II decapitated. I'm sorry, I can't even talk about this with a straight face.
I'm so sorry.
That this guy decapitated so many people that he realized that, you know, he was gonna have like a terrible death because like essentially, I don't know, karma or its equivalent was gonna come for him. And that he did have a terrible death. He was in a car accident where like both of his hands got destroyed. And he's like talking about all this stuff, and I was like, isn't this romantic? And so he keeps going on about like jiu-jitsu and like, Japanese culture, and he asked me if I know about harakiri, and I was like, yes, I know what it is. And he's like, no, but like, do you understand that? And I was like, I believe I do. This man gets up and out of his seat, stands to the side of our table, and acts out a suicide for me to witness. Loretta, he fake stabs himself, or like fake, I don't know, is it a stable? I don't know what you're killing yourself with. He like, and he's like fully like grunting.
No.
Like rips himself up.
No.
Falls on the floor.
No.
Loretta, I'm making, like, I literally at this point, I'm like, we're all in this thing together. Like, I'm looking at the other tables like, this is happening. Like, literally like making eye contact with them, being like, yes, this is my night. And so he's like ripping himself up. He falls on the floor and dies. Unfortunately, not for real, because like he did get up eventually. And I was like, oh, that was like really interesting. And then the third question that he asks me was what was wrong with me in the past few days. And I was like, oh, well, you know, I just had a virus, coy and delicate. I didn't want to say that I was like puking and shitting my guts out, essentially, right? So I was like, oh, I had a virus.
Fair.
Yeah, thank you. And he was like, oh, what was it, HIV? And I was like, yes, of course, it was HIV. I'm glad you asked. Like, you know what I mean? Like, so weird. So my 3 questions, Canada, soccer, and HIV. That was kind of like the only part of the date where I was asked about myself. The rest was him just, you know, speaking about himself.
I think this date was worse than mine.
Loretta, it was absurd. But literally, like, I remember being like, story time. Like, I love it because it's terrible. So like he keeps talking about like the value of like jujitsu again, and at this point I was just like, I need to get at it. Like, this is enough. Like I need to go. Yeah. And I was like, 100%. You know what? Like I'm really hot. And he's like, okay, let's just move downstairs. We go downstairs and there's a bar. I kind of slightly lean over the bar to tell the barman that we've moved downstairs. He, as I'm like leaning over to speak, this guy like leans over and around me, if that makes sense. And just kind of like leans against me, and I was like, like full body shivers, and I was like, no, you know. And so we moved to like this other seat. At this point, we're like sitting at the bar, so I was like, okay, the barman will save me if something happens. This is really weird. Yeah. This whole time we're just talking about jiu-jitsu, okay? Like I have the worst feelings towards the sport solely based on this date. Like I know nothing else about it. I just know that I hate it. No. I can't respect it. And so
he ruined it for you.
He totally ruined it. And so he tells me that like the only bad thing about the sport is that it's not like a proper measure to today's weapons, right? So like you can like jujitsu or whatever that's called a person and like throw them onto the ground, but you can't like jujitsu a bullet essentially. And so he tells me that he had a friend who's also a jujitsu-er or whatever you call it.
Yeah.
Yeah, you know, whatever. A jiu-jitsu person. Yeah. And he got robbed, right? So somebody went to rob him, and he decided to jiu-jitsu the person, and like they rolled onto the ground and they jiu-jitsu'd each other. And then when he went to get up, the guy had a knife. And he had like stabbed him like repeatedly while they were jiu-jitsuing each other, right? And so I'm sitting there, we're like sitting right next to each other, and this guy turns to me and fake stabs me on my stomach repeatedly to demonstrate how it went.
Does he hate?
And so, no, he hated me, obviously. And so he like essentially kind of like, you know, like the Zorro, how he does like the C with his sword. He'll see it in my stomach. He's like, so ha 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 ha. So this is what happened. And I was like, oh my god. I'm being like fake stabbed and like trying to like make eye contact. Die. And like, don't touch my fucking stomach. Don't touch it. So I get like
as
fake
part of your play.
Exactly. And I'm just kind of like looking at him like, no, I understood the story without you having to fake stab me. And so I was like, yeah, it sounds like it's like really rough, you know, like I don't know what to tell you about this. I'm just completely shocked that this is happening. And so then I say something and he's like, I can't hear you. And so I say it again. He's like, no, sorry, I can't hear. So I lean over a little bit to say it and he kisses me. Loretta, literally my answer was like, I kind of like put his hand on and I was like, no, we're not going to do that right now.
No.
I was like, nah, this is not going to happen. No. And so at this point I finished the drink and I was like, listen, I'm still feeling really tired. Like I didn't want to cancel on you a third time, but like I've been sick for like, at this point, like a week and a half. Like I'm exhausted. And he's like, oh, we're not grabbing dinner after this. And I was like, no, I think I can't even eat right now. Like this is too much. He literally rotates on his little stool. He's giving his back to me now on his phone, doesn't speak to me another word. That's where the date ended. So I called the barman. I was like, can we have our bill? The bill comes. He looks at the bill, takes out cash for exactly the amount of his stuff.
No.
So I pay for my part. I was like, okay, well, bye. Nice to meet you. Not really. But I was like, still being polite. I was like, bye. He doesn't even say goodbye. And I leave. Isn't that a crazy date?
Imagine after putting me through all of that as well. You're coming to not even say goodbye. Because what I want to understand, I clearly do not have enough shamelessness or audacity. Because I find that I try and do something kind of like audacious and I feel like I get stopped in my tracks. Whereas this man, you know, and he's probably going home and telling people that, oh yeah, she was totally the problem,
Oh, totally, for
Like,
sure.
when you're on the other side, like, what are you saying to your friend to get you through this? Because I know that some people like to surround themselves, people as in men, like to surround themselves with yes men.
Of course.
And so they're just like, yeah, bro, she's the problem. She's the problem, bro. Because, like, how could you? Like,
Insane.
how are you turning around? And
He
just swiveling
literally,
around?
he had already followed me on Instagram before we met, and he like unfollowed me immediately after the date as well.
That's sickening.
Yeah,
That's
isn't
sickening.
that crazy? I mean,
That's
obviously
pathetic.
it's for the best, right? But I was just like, I am convinced that he's convinced that he was like in the right for the whole date, and that like everything was lovely, and that I was a fucking bitch because I didn't want to like stick around or kiss him or have dinner with him. Crazy.
Oh no.
Yeah.
Oh no.
Yeah.
No, I could not.
I know.
Oh my goodness.
Isn't that wild?
No.
Yeah. But I survived it. And here we are today.
We thank God.
Who might not be surviving their little drama that they're going through though?
Oh my
Sabrina
God.
Carpenter.
Sabrina.
Oh, Sabrina fucked up.
Oh my God. So like I only know the very high level cliff notes.
Sure, yeah.
About the situation. So Coachella has happened this week.
Correct.
Coachella also, can I just make like just a very quick segue?
I would love
that. Coachella, I don't understand the hype because I've seen some videos of Coachella. Maybe it's just of this year.
Okay.
But people are barely dancing.
Oh.
They barely have any energy.
Ugh.
You out in that hot sun with no shade.
Yeah.
And people don't seem to be having that much fun, but you're there kind of like dressed kind of bohemian cowgirl-esque,
you're doing
paying $400 American. I think that's how much a ticket is. Let me ask our producer. How much is Coachella?
Producer?
Isabella. Yeah, that's her name.
I like it, Isabella.
I'm sorry, I said $400.
Yeah.
I've just been told by our producer, Isabella, general admission, $720.
No, thank you. I'm okay. That's insane.
Yeah. And it's multiple weekends, apparently.
Yeah, I think it's a couple. Yeah.
700.
So imagine if you're staying for the whole thing, you have to get accommodations for the whole time. That's just crazy. But speaking of like the people not dancing, this is also like a segue on a segue. I've heard about how like Gen Z or like the younger generations are not dancing that much. They go to the clubs, but they don't dance because like they're scared of being recorded, which breaks my heart. It breaks my heart. Like I saw a TikTok about this actually the other day too, and it was just like somebody saying how like people don't participate in class because they don't want to be recorded and like be made fun of.
Yeah.
Young kids are not dancing. They're like everything that like involves like maybe like being silly or goofy or like cringe or any of those things. They're just avoiding it. But it's just like, isn't that the fun of life, to be silly and goofy and ridiculous and like be a bad dancer but like dance the whole fucking night? Like it just makes me so sad for them. So I don't know if that's maybe what you've been seeing, that like people are not dancing because of that or in combination with that.
No, this younger generation, I don't know. Because would you consider Sabrina Carpenter to be part of that like young, is she Gen Z?
I think she might be.
How old is she?
I think she's pretty like, she's straddling that line of like Gen Z millennial.
Okay.
But I just don't know the fans that are going to this, like how young they might be.
Yeah, because the situation that happened with Sabrina at Coachella, it just kind of gave... Okay, I think you need to give me the full context because... all vibes, no research.
Exactly. And I am basing this whole conversation on one TikTok that I saw and the fact that I was briefly Muslim. And so I have a little bit of context and I have a lot of Muslim friends. So this is kind of like where this comes from. But essentially what happened is that there's this, I don't know if I'm going to pronounce this word right, ululation. This is English. Is that how you say it? Ululation? Ululation?
Let's ask the producer. Ululation,
perfect. Yeah. Which is kind of like a celebratory chant. It's just like a celebratory ululation, actually, right? So like it's this noise where I'm not even gonna attempt to do it properly, but it would be kind of like a sort of like this. It's like a noise that you're making with your tongue, very like you based. The sound sounds like a U, and it's used. It's for a moment of celebration. So you'll hear it a lot at weddings. You'll hear it at graduations. That was huge. I remember like when all of my friends were graduating, they'd be doing that ululation. I believe like the right word for it is sagruta, but I also like that's probably even worse in pronunciation that I did for ululation. So like whatever. But this is essentially what that is, right? And so it's a chant of joy, essentially, right? And so what happens is that one of the girls in the audience did it. And I don't know, because I didn't see like the whole part of it. I think maybe this is when she was doing like her piano section. Like it looks like Sabrina's like sitting down doing like something on the piano. So maybe it's like a little bit quieter, and that's why she could like pick out the specific sound. And Sabrina was kind of like, "What are you doing?" But it was just her attitude towards it was like very kind of like dismissive, like, "What is that?" You know, like kind of like that sort of vibe. She asked that, like, "What are you doing?" And then the girl replied something like, "Oh, it's a chant or it's like celebration or something like that." And she's like, "Why are you yodeling?" And she was like, "It's my culture." What? Yeah, she asked like why she's yodeling. And the girl replies, which like I don't even understand how they can hear each other so well. I'm like shocked that like this girl's like replying. I think the whole group was quiet, or like the whole like Coachella was quiet. And so she's like, "Yodeling is your culture?" She's like, "Oh, stop, it's weird." And she's just gonna like dismiss it, and she calls it weird, which is you know what I mean? Like it's not cool. It's not cool. However, I'm not defending Sabrina, but I do think that you're on stage. I don't know that how aware you can be of everything that's happening. I don't know how culturally aware she is either of what it actually was, you know? And so I feel like for her, she was kind of just like, what the fuck is going on? But also, I don't think it's the right way to approach it at all. And also, it's not like it's like that much of like a terrible thing to do. Like, it was just kind of like, woo, you know, like.
I have something controversial to say.
Bring it.
Something happened a few weeks ago with Chapel Rowan, and I pride myself deeply in
Can I say something? Do you remember the song Chacarron, Chacarron, Chacarron?
No.
Do you know what I'm talking about? Every time I hear Chapel Rowan's name, all I can think is Chacarron, Chacarron, Chacarron.
So funny.
I'm sorry, I have no additional context for this. Please go. So Chapel Rowan.
And so I pride myself on the fact that I can't name a single Chapel Rowan song. I think that's revolutionary.
That actually
I think that's anti-capitalist.
It's
that I couldn't even name a single song because I feel like she popped out of literally nowhere overnight.
A lot of people think she's an industry plant.
Oh.
And by a lot of people, I TikTok. I've seen a couple of those.
And so with her, there was a situation about a month ago where a young girl who was 11 came and said hello to her at breakfast. And then Chapel then had security essentially scold the child.
Yes.
And say, hey, you shouldn't be bothering people.
Yes.
Now, I come from the United Kingdom of Britain and Northern Ireland. I come from the land of paparazzi harassing the shit out of people. They killed Diana. I'm sorry.
Yeah, they did.
Please don't take my passport away from me. But they literally did.
Allegedly.
So I know that, allegedly. And I know that frenzy. I think about Emma Watson when she was in an interview and she had gone out for her 18th birthday party. And so she went out the night where she was still 17 and then she turned 18 at midnight. And then she left the club, like maybe at like 2 a.m. or something like that. And photographers laid down on the floor and took pictures up her skirt because then officially 2 hours ago that was no longer illegal because she was 18. Right? It was horrible.
That's wild.
It was crazy. And so I come from that culture of like, listen, give people peace. But also, I think lately there's like an energy of celebrities wanting fame, wanting your attention, wanting your money, and then going, please always and completely leave me alone. And I'm like, I'm so sorry, but things have prices. Yeah.
Okay. Yep.
And so like if an 11-year-old wants to come and ask you for a picture, if someone wants to do an ululation at your festival, they're not hurting anyone. I'm sorry, but they're literally not. It's not like, I don't know if you saw the time when the girls came to Justin Bieber's house.
No.
It was like years ago.
Oh my God.
And they stood outside his house and Justin was very nice. He was very calm. And it was just these starstruck. They weren't so young that it was acceptable, but they weren't people in their 30s either.
Right. Yeah,
and they came outside his house and he got out there and he literally went, hey guys, I know that you're a fan, but I don't think this is appropriate. This is my home. It's where I come to rest, unwind. I don't think it's okay that you're here. Please, I'd appreciate if you guys didn't come here anymore. Like, it's not right. And then one of the girls was, and they were all like nodding, listening. And then one of the girls was like, can I have a hug?
No.
Like, she didn't hear a word of what he said. She just went, he's talking to me. And things like that I think are inappropriate. Don't come to people's houses. But like I'm at a festival and I'm deciding to enjoy. It's like, I feel like I'm going to go on so many tangents here, but Burna Boy.
Bring it. Yeah.
A woman went to Burna Boy's concert, I want to say 4 months ago.
Okay.
And the woman fell asleep at the concert.
Oh no, baby.
She fell asleep at the concert. Burna Boy saw her sleeping. Burna Boy kicked her out of the concert. He said, please get out. You can't be sleeping here.
No.
And then the woman then came forward and was like, I think her dad had just died. And so she came to the concert as a way to unwind. She was going through a lot. And she was like, but also, to be so fucking fair, my Nigerian brother in Christ and in blood, right? I paid for my ticket. If I want to twerk on the seat, I can twerk on the seat. If I want to sleep in the seat, I can sleep in the seat.
Totally.
Yeah. And so I find that lately, like, celebrities have been, like, musicians have been, like, so entitled. And I think that's my controversy. Because, like, with Sabrina, really? Did you have to go that far? Like,
listen, before we get back to Sabrina, can I add more context to the chaperone story?
Yeah.
Okay, do you know who this child is?
No. Okay. Is she a famous child?
She's Jude Law's daughter.
No, fuck off.
Yes, so she's Jude Law's daughter, and her mother is remarried to a famous Brazilian soccer player. So this girl is around fame often, which is kind of like one of the first points that people pointed out. She would know how to behave. She's not just kind of like somebody that's being annoying around famous people. Second, she didn't even say hi. They were at the hotel restaurant having breakfast. Yeah. They saw her come in. They thought it could have been her, so she decided to walk, like a little recon walk. Walked past her and realized that it was her, and she came to her table and she was like, oh my god, mommy, it was her. Then the security came. Then the soccer player did this whole like the stepdad did this whole like Instagram like expose. You don't deserve your fans, like nothing happened, I can't believe that they did this to my daughter. But also like, okay, so he's saying all these things. Then Chacaron came on to say to say that she didn't even see the girl, that wasn't her security, that it was kind of like not her personal security but like hotel security, and that she would have never done something like that. Meanwhile, she has had people come up to her and she's like such a bitch about it. So I don't know. I feel like she was trying to like save face a little bit. But also what I hear in terms of like these conversations and what you've been saying about like wanting privacy is that there are actors, performers, artists that are incredibly famous and incredibly good at their craft that are not celebrities, if that makes sense. Do you have to go to Fashion Week? Do you have to be front row at this and that? Do you have to go to all the trendy restaurants? I don't know. You can be great at your craft and you can be very famous and very successful and not constantly be searching out these spaces.
No, I get that. And I don't know. I find that, like, what did you think about when Doja Cat said that all of the fans that like say that they love her, they're freaks? Did you remember when that happened? That was maybe like
slightly.
2 years ago.
Yes.
So she had basically posted, I don't know, on Twitter or on X or Instagram, I don't know. She was like, you people are so weird. You people who say that you love me, you're so strange. And I think overnight she lost like a third of her Instagram followers.
Oh, shit.
Afterwards.
Yeah.
And look, listen, her career survived. And some people took her side in the sense of like, you are weird for loving me. Yeah. You don't know me, was essentially how she put it. And she called them, I think she called them freaks, or she called them losers or weird, something like that. And other people were kind of like, but you need to understand. I feel like there's that disconnect. You need to understand you are famous because of me. Exactly. Now, I shouldn't be coming to your house.
No.
At all. Of course not. No. And people are kind of sitting there, and I think they're acting as if they're famous just purely based on their talent. Listen, I could pick 3 people from Medellin who could sing better than Karol G, because it's not just all about talent.
Don't fuck with my girl. But yes, I know what you're saying. Yes, I love her. She better not call me a freak for saying that, but I do love her. No, absolutely. And I think now tying it back in with like our whole like Sabrina thing is like, you can tell when something is like in good energy versus somebody calling you like, you fucking bitch, get off the stage, you know, for example.
Yeah.
Why would you call someone's, and even as she continued, because she was like, oh, what was that? And the girl's like, oh, it's celebration or something like that. Leave it at that. But why would she be like, it's weird? It's this girl. I'm
telling you, there are some undertones to that. There are some undertones.
Yeah.
There are some undertones because, no, it's Sabrina. I don't know. But do you know what I think the issue is? I think the issue is that from the global north, which is a term that I heard of for the first time ever, like 2 months ago. Places like that, I think that's driving a lot of the world at the moment. I think it's driving how we see things. It's driving how we travel, and people are expecting to have the same aesthetic that they're having back at home. they're expecting to have that 6,000 miles away. They're
Absolutely.
like, yeah, I want to feel like I'm back in my hometown. And it leads me
Absolutely.
to thinking about global homogenization.
Mm-hmm.
And this is what I will say. I'm a traveler. I have been to places.
Yeah.
I have been to places. I hate to travel now. I literally hate it.
Fair.
And I was someone that when I had less money, I would do my 10-day trip to Thailand. I would bang out the fucking noodles from the grocery store.
Yeah.
And I'm going to make it work.
Yeah.
Whereas now I'm like, I hate being at the airport.
Mm-hmm.
I hate being on a plane.
Oh, God.
Like, especially when there was that in-between phase where they're like, where's your COVID vaccine? Oh, I'm only accepting Pfizer. I'm not accepting AstraZeneca. Right? I'm not accepting that. I remember that phase.
Yeah.
Right? It's almost as if like COVID did not happen, but like it did.
Yeah.
Like it really did.
It fucking did. Yeah.
And going through all those phases, and airlines now are like, the planes are smaller. Why are my knees inside my breasts?
Yeah.
Right? And
controversial
tucked in and controversial view, baby. Controversial view, Annie. Airplane seats should not ever recline unless you're in business class.
Loretta,
I'm
I
sorry.
actually agree.
Yeah.
But like,
how fucking dare you lay down?
No. Listen, I think you're taller than me, but we're both tall girls. First of all,
Yes.
Second of all, I hate flying. I have a terrible fear of flying. I have like some weird mentality in almost like if I suffer a little bit, like I don't deserve to be too comfortable, because it's like a sacrifice in exchange of like landing there safely. I can't explain it, but it's just kind of like, so I would never dare recline my seat and make somebody else uncomfortable. Like for me, that's like a capital crime. But no, I can't deal with like recliners. I can't deal with it.
Yeah,
and like when they feel your knees and they're still like, like ramming the chair against you. Oh my God. No, I totally agree with you. I totally agree with you. Yeah,
it's the worst. I think it's a heinous social crime.
Yes,
it's
a
real social faux pas.
I agree. I agree.
So I don't like to travel anymore. And I think a big issue about it as well is like I've been going on vacation to places and I'm just like, okay. Whereas I think before I went on holiday and I was like, wow, this is amazing.
I agree.
This is incredible. Whereas I don't think I've had that
in a while,
quite some time. And because there've been people in my life who are like, oh, where are you going next? I was like, bitch, I don't want to go anywhere. Like, I don't want to go literally anywhere. And there's a few places that are still on my list, of course, but I'm like,
I'm really surprised because I've had that same feeling and I'm like, okay, I don't know if it's a very privileged take because I've traveled a lot. So I was like, okay, well, maybe that's why I'm so like done with it. Like, have I seen enough? Which is like a very stupid thing to say. But I feel like I hadn't connected it with this feeling of like kind of like the awe of it is getting lost. Everything feels the same everywhere.
Yes.
To begin with, obviously airports are the same land. I would say all airports are one country. You know what I mean? Like you're in this like timeless, lawless place of like everything is 80 euros if you want a sandwich, like you have to just deal with it. You can drink wine at 9 a.m. It's a hot mess of like a place. But they all look exactly the same, right? So that's like your starting place. But the thing is that you're coming into like new cities and new places, and it doesn't feel all that different. The hot coffee shop looks the same everywhere. Restaurants feel the same everywhere. Shops feel like I used to love shopping and getting things that were very like I love like a random scarf that I got in a place because I know exactly where I got it from. I remember what the store smells like. But now everything looks the same. You can buy the same things everywhere, so it's like even that part is like not that exciting. Like, oh, am I gonna find something cool for my place? It's like, well, you might find something cool, but it's the same thing that you're gonna be able to buy right at home and you're not gonna have to pay any extra luggage to bring it to your place. And not to say that there's not beautiful things to see in the world still, but there is a lot of this homogenization that you were saying.
Yes.
And it's just, it all feels very copy paste. And I get the fact that it's comforting for some people. Like, I do remember traveling at times, being lost in the middle of the night, and you see like a random golden arches, a little M, and you're like, it's the promised land. I'm safe. Like, I'll be able to eat. It's probably going to have AC if it's in the summer, like, I know exactly what I'm getting. Like, I remember that feeling, but it also came from a place of like despair in like a long trip or you've been like lost for hours maybe. And like, that's also like kind of like a satisfaction. But you know what McDonald's is, and like it's a chain, but like the fact that everything feels like a chain now, even if it's not, like it all feels like a replica of the same thing over and over. It's very
So when I was looking into global homogenization, I found that more people are traveling now more than ever. And something, Annie, the maths is not mathsing. Because
Okay.
things are more expensive now.
Right.
So how are more people able to do it? I know there's more people on the planet. There's too many people on this planet. I'm sorry.
I know.
Right?
Yeah.
Nigerians, you don't need an average of 5.5 children. And things are more expensive, but more than ever, more people are going on holiday. More and more and more people. More people are applying for passport. I remember statistics of the US where only 25% of people from the US had a passport.
Right.
And now those numbers are quickly creeping up. And you're finding that people are going to other places and they're demanding the same things they have at home.
Yep.
Listen,
Including English.
I'm a person. Yeah. I'm from England.
Uh-huh.
You're going to go all over Europe. You're going to see a full English breakfast because they're going to be like, a tortilla? I don't want that for breakfast in Spain. What's that? Oh no, I want my fry up. That's what we're going to say. Right? That's who we're guilty of that 100%. Not me, of course not.
No,
but
no.
I understand where that's kind of stems from. But then I feel like and people argue that global homogenization is good because it helps support small businesses. A small cafe owner who was probably never going to be making that much money ever across the course of their life, they've suddenly gotten a Starlink Wi-Fi.
Right.
And now they're a coffee shop where you can co-work.
Right.
And now they're making more money than ever. And it's this concept of that, why do all of these neighborhoods look the same? Why does Roma Norte look the same as Laureles? Why does that feel the same as Shoreditch? Why does that feel the same as like Montmartre, for example, in Paris? And it's because people want to feel those comforts back at home.
Of course.
They're like, I just want to feel like I'm in my home country. But then I think those things are perversive. Perversive? I guess that's a word. Pervasive?
Pervasive.
I think it's pervasive. It's
not like but it's also perverse. So
yes.
Yes.
And I would even go as far as to call it, I think it's global gentrification.
Oh, for sure.
I think it's gentrification on a huge scale because you're not changing these places to look like Egypt. You know, you're not changing these places to look like Jardín in Antioquia.
No, everybody wants to look like Brooklyn.
Yeah, exactly. I want to feel like I'm in Williamsburg.
Exactly.
Is literally what the issue is. And then so someone asked me a question last night. Our friend Julian asked me a question last night. He said, what do you think the solution is? And I gave my solution to him. What do you think the solution is?
Ooh. I didn't think that this was a solutions podcast. Fuck.
You didn't.
I thought I was here to bitch, not to solve, okay? Like, I didn't realize.
Oh man.
My God. I think honestly, I totally get the fact that like a lot of people that are traveling as well are working. I think that adds an extra layer of you needing a certain baseline to comfortably work and travel in a different country. So I think that feeds into it quite a bit as well. That you have your typical coffee shop with your same chai latte that you like to order everywhere with almond milk or whatever. That's my order, so I'm only shitting on myself. And that you can like bring in your computer and you're going to have strong Wi-Fi and all of these things. So I get the need for those spaces to exist because they're like easily recognizable. The thing is that on one end, at least what I know that's happening here in Colombia is that a lot of these places are not actually being owned by Colombians. So that's like an additional layer. It's just that we have these very same Americans or Europeans setting up these coffee shops here. So the money is not even staying with locals. The money is going to foreigners. Same as like the people, the foreigners that are buying apartments to do Airbnb and stuff like that. So it's just like, oh, okay, so like none of it stays in Colombia then. So, okay, cool. That's one thought. Do I have a solution? Close the border. No, just kidding. Stop traveling. Close the borders.
I think it needs to be harder. I honestly agree. I think it needs to be harder. I think that's the only way that you're going to deal with it, because otherwise the only other solution is to rely on the goodness of people. And I mean that from the perspective of like when I lived in Paris, for example, Paris has rent control. And Paris, the tenants have huge rights. London is London, the people in London have been lobbying to kind of try and mirror Paris's structure. So Paris, for example, I could sign a housing contract from now till kingdom come. I can give you a 1 month notice period. I can move out of my house. I am not locked into this contract forever, right? London has literally just adopted that. It comes into effect June of this year. Whereas before, you could be stuck in the crappiest apartment where they're gouging your eyes out with the rent prices and you're stuck.
Yeah.
And so Paris also has rent control in terms of like, listen, if you're in this area, you cannot charge more than this amount of money. I'm sorry. I don't know what you think you're doing. You're not doing that though. Then that's because the government, in some instances, listen, the French government, there's much to be desired, of course. But in that instance, they went, you need to protect the fact that people are tenants and you need to protect your people. And I don't think communities are going to do that. As someone who, I grew up in a very working class community back in London, and I've seen gentrification happen in places like that, and I've watched as local governments and, you know, state level governments have not supported people at all. Poorer people need to move outside of London now because, you know, Tiffany's like, but I just really want my hot yoga studio.
Yep. There's always these like signs that it's coming. The new yoga studio, the new coffee shop, you know, even the Starbucks though. Like if there's a Starbucks in a new neighborhood, you're like, oh, we're done. You know, like this is it. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, I'm fucked. Yeah, and I don't know. But I think you have to rely on that. And some people argue, and I would be interested to get your opinion. Some people argue that gentrification in a lot of ways is a good thing because they say that it makes neighborhoods safer, you know? It makes, you know, it's more culturally enriching, you know, areas that were rougher, right? So that's the word I'm going to use. Areas that were rougher, now I'm, you know, able to go around and chill and, you know, do my hot yoga and this and that. So I'd be interested because I view that it makes it safer in some capacities for a certain demographic. It makes it safer for Tiffany. It makes it safer for Sophie. Whereas you notice things that like petty crime goes through the roof. Suddenly my neighbor's robbing my iPhone. And he would have never done that before, but now it's like, well, rent's gone up. I don't
know. How much safer is it for the person that's getting evicted?
Exactly. Yeah, exactly. And I think it's difficult to know. And listen, I'm someone who's lived in lots of different places. I love a bougie coffee shop. Love it.
For sure.
Right? Of course. But also I want to go somewhere and I want to experience that culture. Because I know there's people, it goes so far as the people who go on vacation or people who come to Medellin, for example, and they go to a hotel or a hostel or whatever, and the person who's there doesn't speak English, and you will get people get very angry at them and go, why don't you speak English if you work in hospitality and tourism? And I'm like,
you know what I find really surprising? You would think that as tools continue to advance, this aspect of it would become less difficult. If you're traveling somewhere where you don't speak the language, if you were traveling 20 years ago, 30 years ago, you had your little guidebook with maybe some go-to sentences that you had to say. You weren't even like Googling where to go because it didn't exist. You were looking at actual maps in your little book about like, you know, discover Rome or whatever. And you were kind of like making it work. I get how frustrating it must have been not to be able to speak your language. Today, do you not have like a fucking computer in your hand that is called a phone that I'm sure you have because you know who I'm talking about? And are you not able to like translate something to have kind of like an easy conversation? To check into a hotel room, you're going to tell me that you can't figure it out with your fucking phone and the tools that you have on you. To like type it out and show them the message written of like, hi, I'm here to like, it's so weird. And they want everything chewed for them, pre-chewed and
spit out for them.
Yeah, exactly. Like this goes back to like that frictionless existence. A little friction is nice. A little difficulty is nice, you know? Part of like traveling is the difficulty, I think, you know?
Yeah.
And that's why there's like very distinct types of trips. I love me an all-inclusive. I love going and turning off my brain and not having to do shit, of course.
Yeah.
But also I love a trip where I'm like growing and expanding and going through things. And like the same way that I was talking about like the shitty date stories, we traveled a lot as a family growing up to like fucking locations. My dad was just, oh my God, you know, the places he likes to choose for traveling. Sometimes I'm just like, is this a punishment or no, I'm sorry. I feel so mean because like he wanted us to see the world, but like he put us through it. But we have the best fucking travel stories because we went through so many things and we got out of so many things and like we learned and we lived, and I'm glad that I lived through all of that as a kid because like it's kind of like expanding as well. And I feel like a lot of the people that come here now and they're just like, excuse me, what? How dare you not speak my language? No, buddy. That's not how it works. I really want to keep bitching about this, but I really have to go. Can you call me later?
Yeah, absolutely.
Hello? No, pero llámame ya.